5-minute penalty to Chicago, a game misconduct, and then Manson having words with Steven. And now Butcher gets into it. We're going to have a brawl, folks. Stand by.
What's up, everybody? Tyler Cash here, coming at you not live, but pre-recorded from Las Vegas, Nevada. I am enjoying a nice cold Dr. Pepper because I just woke up from a nap, and I'm going to chase it, I believe, with some smelling salts from my hockey bag because I am struggling. How you doing, bud?
So Thursday night, what the hell you got going on?
Dude, I'm just so tired. Just been working a lot, trying to organize this trip back to St. Louis, hopefully for this game at the end of the month. Also got a baby shower to be planning. Just a bunch of adult shit that they don't tell you about when when you're a kid and all that mattered was getting drunk and partying all the time. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's good. It's just been a rough week, ups and downs for sure. Attended the Golden Knights game the other night against the Caps, and boy, like to fuck with my my heart on that one, man. I when they let in that first goal in the first period, when Leonard did, and Kuznetsov just kind of slid it past him, I was like, oh shit, here we go again. I'm not gonna lie to you, Tommy. Part of me thought about leaving, like at that exact moment. I think it was the earliest I've ever had the thought in my head to leave a hockey game. It was like 10 minutes into the first period, and I was like, dude, I just didn't have it in me. But actually, let's just dive right into it. Pete DeBoer did something I don't think I've ever seen in the history of watching hockey, and that's he pulled the goalie after the first period when it was just 1-1. And a lot of people thought it was a very strange choice to start Robin Leonard in the first place over Logan Thompson, considering, they got to win out all these games. My question to you, you're not exactly a fan of the team, but outside looking in, what do you think went down in that locker room? What do you think happened in order to make that goaltending change so abruptly after the first period?
I mean, you were at the game, so you probably might have more insight than I do, but I felt like the Knights, like in a game that they pretty much absolutely needed to win, they weren't that, I guess, hyped. They weren't like playing that great, I felt like. And it's like, okay, it's 1-1. Like, we should probably be lucky that we're here at 1-1. And probably Pete DeBoer, I mean, arguably, if you think he missed playoffs, his job's potentially on the line for a lot of reasons. But it's probably like, all right, let's spark the fucking boys. Leonard's going to be pissed, but that's not my job, is to make players happy. My job is to get us to the playoffs, and this is the way I think we can do it. And then they switched to Thompson, and that first goal by Ovi, I was like, maybe not a good call. Maybe not a good call, DeBoer, but he settled down and ended up being a pretty good game.
Yeah, no one's stopping that goal. I think it was a 2-on-1 shot, and it was all across. And he made an admirable attempt to make that save. Logan Thompson was brilliant. It was great. Like he did exactly what they needed. And as you said, I think it just was more of a wake-up call, more so than letting them know that Leonard wasn't performing up to his abilities. But I will say this. I'm trying to pull up the exact quote because this is what I was waiting for. Went to the game, like I said, had a few cocktails, and it was experiencing the ups and downs of the roller coaster of that game for sure. And I knew, I was like, man, I need to wait until after this post-game interview. I want to know why DeBoer did what he did, or at least if he can give a little bit of insight. And I'm going to find this quote because it was wild, honestly. It seems like he kind of let the cat out of the bag, saying that Leonard was not performing up to his standards. So technically it would have been 2-1 going into the second period. They had an offsides rule where they challenged it. I believe that was also going to be Ovechkin as well. And Tom Wilson was across the line first before the puck. So had that great overturn coach's challenge, which, by the way, the Golden Knights are 8-1 on the season, which is just insane to think about. They're pretty much, they are unbeatable when it comes to these coaches' challenges. But the quote was, after asking him why he went with Thompson instead of Leonard in the second period, he said, "The decision to start him We pay him to start games like this. It's the most important time of the year. He's healthy. So let's go ahead and throw that out, right? He definitely wouldn't have thrown him under the bus if he wasn't healthy. He's fresh. He's got a lot of energy. We need him at this point of the year. After that New Jersey game, I felt like I wanted to give him the opportunity to bounce back. We pay him to win these games is the quote really right there. So I guess he just didn't like what he saw in the first period, and it's, as you said, tie that in with just kind of waking the guys up. They looked dead out there in that first period. Didn't look like the season was on the line. It looked like they had already booked some tee times, and yeah, it woke them up, man. It was a very exciting game. They wound up winning it in overtime, 4-3. Shea Theodore buries it, not a big deal. It goes right down the middle. Just beautiful goal, beautiful goal. My question is, who's in net now, right? I feel like you made a statement. It's got to be Thompson's net. But if you ask me and you ask a lot of fans this, it's been his net for quite some time. So, next game, who do you think that they're going to?
I mean, got to go to the guy who got you through this. I mean, got to go to Thompson. I mean, that's the thing, though. That's where money talks in this league and always will. Like, you're getting a guy millions of dollars versus a guy who's up on an emergency loan that's making league minimum. And the guy who's making millions of dollars is supposed to be here long term. You're obviously going to give him all the opportunities in the world as you can. That's I feel like was all it is. And now it's like, let's do or die. We know who we have to go with. We've given Leonard as much as we can. Now he's got to sort of sit by and watch. And granted, Thompson's probably still going to have a really short leash with all that he's done, but I think that's my take.
Yeah, I've never seen the leash being 1 period short. Honestly, it's almost like DeBoer didn't want to start him, but did anyways. And, quickly regretted that decision. Obviously, the decision to put LT was the right one. So far, Logan Thompson is 9-5-0, 2.56 goals against average with a .920 save percentage. Like, it's not incredible, but he's definitely a solid backup option that's making league minimum now for the next 3 seasons after this. They extended him at league minimum. This is a guy that probably didn't even think he was going to get an opportunity. They signed Laurent Brossoit in the offseason to an extension as well. Who knows where he's going to be in all this mess next season after he's healthy. But it's exciting, man. I know you told me to chill my horses a little bit in comparing him to Jordan Binnington and the amazing run that the Blues did in 2019, but it's really hard to not compare him. Like, he's got this like cocky attitude. Obviously, he's not doing shutout after shutout. It's not like record-breaking stats here, but in the post-game interview where they asked him what it was like playing against Ovechkin for the first time, he said, "Yeah, he's okay." Like, super just chill. It reminds me of 2019 Jordan Binnington. Like, yeah, I don't really care who I'm playing. Like, I'm going to stop the puck if I can.
Well, what are you trying to compare? Are you trying to compare his antics and the way that he's acting in the interview, or are you talking about his play on the ice? Because
the position,
not the same.
Well, the positioning, right? Like, Jordan Binnington definitely wasn't on their radar. Logan Thompson wasn't on their radar. This wasn't their first or even second, potentially not even their third choice when it comes to goaltending. This guy shows up, steals the position from a guy who's making over $5 million a year, a guy that you kept and traded the Vezina winning goaltender away for essentially nothing. It's like, it says a lot to go with this young guy who's making league minimum. Like you said, money talks. And the fact that they're putting this guy in net that's up on an emergency standard issue because Brossoit is being injured, and just that 750K is just nuts. So it's exciting. It's more of an exciting story. Is it going to be enough to get them to the cup? Probably not. But if they ride this hot hand, it could sneak them in. They basically have to win out. They have 4 games left. One is actually against the Dallas Stars, which it's looking a lot like they might actually be the ones to slip. Essentially, if the Golden Knights want to make it in, they got to win out. They got 4 games left, and they need either the Dallas Stars or the LA Kings. I guess it could also be the Nashville Predators to lose 2 or 3 of the next 5 for them. So it's not completely over. Fans like us have our fingers crossed, but I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of goalie situation they have next year, whether they're going to give Thompson an honest shot, if they're going to move him back to the AHL and use Brossois. It just seems like a very similar situation to me, and it's exciting to see these guys getting these opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Leonard also only has an 18 no trade clause. So that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Only 8 teams?
Modified no trade. He can prevent 8 teams that he can't go to. So
probably all of Canada, right? Like that's it.
Most of it, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's one thing to consider. I mean, looking ahead, but obviously still a long way to go before we get there.
I'd like to see him go back to the Isles, man. Like back to the New York Islanders. He's got that tattoo on his neck. You know, he said that was like the most respect he's ever been paid by a franchise. I mean, that could be exciting for both the player and the team, you know?
Yeah, but I think the issue with that is what the hell does do the Islanders do with their goaltending? I mean, that's a whole other topic of discussion. Like in an ideal world, does it make sense for him? Yeah. Does it realistically make sense right now? Probably not for the next couple of years because there's got 9 million tied up in Varlamov and Sorokin. But yeah, I mean,
and they're not their goaltending's not bad either.
No,
like
they have no reason to trade for him.
Varlamov's not having the best year. He's 9-15-2, 2.86 goals against average, 0.914, but it's probably better than Leonard.
I say better than Leonard. pretty confident in saying that. Yeah.
But I mean, a change of scenery is, you know, always can make or break a player, and if he loves the city, you know, potentially. But like you said, they're not in the market for it. They may not want him. So
he's also had 5 changes of scenery. So I mean, how many more does a guy need? No offense to Robin Leonard by any means, but I don't think that's the problem if that's the case. So
fair, yeah. And if you know, he has had a history of mental health issues, and that unfortunately, you know, weighs on him. He deactivated his Twitter. You know, he's kind of shut himself out, and he's always been one of those people that, you know, enjoyed reaching out and being social. So he clearly has got inner demons he's working, you know, dealing with right now, especially if the coach himself threw it out there. He's like, he's not injured. Stop. Basically, Dr. Frank Cervelli, he's not injured. Like, he's good to go. I think if he was struggling with something, I don't think the coach would basically take that umbrella away from him, that blanket that he could use as an excuse at the end of the year. Like, hey, I wasn't feeling myself. It's just obvious whatever he's dealing with. I hope he can take care of sooner than later.
Yeah, makes sense. Some other news around the league. Well, actually, let's stay on topic since we've just been talking Knights. I mean, it kind of involves him still. Was Ovechkin. Iconic way to hit the 50 goal mark, just coming down the right circle. Oh, Logan Thompson, hey there, here's a fucking massive slap shot. Try and stop me. Gets a piece of it, goes in. Ovi hits 50. 9th season, he's at 50 plus goals, ties the league history or the NHL record for that between Wayne Gretzky and Mike Bossy. Now Ovechkin joins them. Not surprised, but this old man just doesn't let up. He's chasing Gretzky hard.
So it's kind of win-win for me. I got to see history and also the Knights take home a win. I'd be interested to find out how many of those goals are like wrist shots or tap-ins, because it seems like every single goal I've ever witnessed from Alex Ovechkin is just a slapper, like just full like power, you know, meat to the grinder, in your face slap shot, like, which is just nuts. Like, he's got full force. As you said, he just brought the fucking puck in himself. Anybody else probably would have sent it sailing right over the fucking net. And he's just got this shot that's not only is it a laser, but it just stays low, which is also just mind blowing. Just goes, I believe 5-hole, or it might have slipped like right underneath his pad.
I think so.
Beautiful goal. And yeah, like I said, I thought it was great in the post-game interview, asking him like, "Hey, what do you think of that?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't really think much."
Guy let up 2 against fucking Ovechkin. I don't really got much to say, I feel like, either. But yeah, congrats to Ovi.
Congrats.
A couple more years. We'll see if he's chasing down him. Gretzky might be 3. We'll see. But yeah, he's getting closer every fucking day.
Is Bossy and Gretzky, do they have just 9 seasons with 50 goals?
That's correct.
So if he gets one more, he like solely owns the record.
For that, yeah, 50 goal seasons, he would own the record 100%.
That's huge. I mean, and at his age, and everyone's talking about him chasing the like all-time gold record from Gretzky, it just becomes more apparent each day that that's going to happen.
Which is crazy because Bossy literally only played 10 years in the league. In his first 9 years, he had over 50 goals. And his last year, he only had a paltry 38. No big deal. Like, yeah.
It had to have been an injury, right? That took him out if he only played 10 years.
I'm honestly not too sure. I mean, if it's interesting because like he played from basically like 20 to 30, and that's all I know. I don't know the context around why he stopped so early, but I think wasn't he a part of the Islanders like 4 cups, I think, too. So
yeah,
I mean,
he was one of the only people to do that.
What else do you have to play for? You know what I mean?
He just said fuck it. He hung it up. He's like, I'm just gonna drink beer and hang out and party. Which by the way, didn't he? I think he passed recently.
It was a chronic back injury, by the way. After looking, yeah, he did recently pass with lung, or he was diagnosed with lung cancer. I don't think he's passed. Actually, no, he did. Yeah, like a week ago. That's right.
Very recently. So rest in peace.
Flu went over me. Yeah, rest in peace for sure.
But yeah, I mean, hell of a career. Yeah, 4 consecutive Stanley Cup championships in the 1980s. 10 years, pretty much went out on top. Honestly, like. Legend in his own right, and we're witnessing Ovechkin build a similar career amongst himself, minus about 3 cups, right? Because Isles did 4 cups in a row, so like that's just crazy. I mean, if we're gonna see anything like that, it would be Tampa. But I mean, yeah, it was just a different game back then. If a roster stuck together long enough, they clicked. It was more about the chemistry than like the sheer firepower and talent of a team. Yeah. So, but yeah, rest in peace, man. And congratulations to Ovi on breaking that record. I'm glad I had to witness it. Oh, okay. Yeah. So whether he breaks it, but I mean, if he breaks it, then I feel like it's just an easy limp into beating Gretzky's record, because it was something like 30 goal seasons, right? It was like 7 30 goal seasons, or not even. Like he's coming up real hot.
I think so. I mean, I don't know about the 30 goals, but I mean, in terms of what overall, I mean, I think he's within like 100 to something. I think like 110-ish, if I had to guess off the top of my head. Gretzky's 894, Ovechkin 780, 114.
So if he only has 114 goals left. If he does one more 50 goal season, not only does he get that record, but he basically halves the amount of goals that he's going to need, and he just signed that long extension.
Still got 5 games this year to add a couple too. So
crazy. All right, like moving right along, Minnesota Wild's Ryan Hartman was fined $4,250 for unsportsmanlike conduct, aka doing exactly what we'd all like to do, and that's flipping the bird to Evander Kane after a scrum at their game. Incredible. Which I've never really thought of it this way. Those gestures are not great for TV either. Obviously, we're not getting them mic'd up, so you're not hearing these obscenities. They're screaming at each other, but we all know what it's like to flip a bird at somebody. But yeah, the interesting part of the saga was the fact that Evander Kane's wife Venmoed Ryan Hartman $200 to help pay for the fine. Kind of sparked a little bit of drama, a little bit of entertainment for the internet, and then everybody started Venmoing Ryan Hartman, and he raised over $50,000, I believe, for a local children's hospital from Minnesota. It's definitely a charity regarding children and Minnesota, which is just amazing. He's like, yeah, I'm a man. I'm going to pay my fine. It was worth it to flip that fucker off, and I'm going to do something great, and you love to see it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just funny. I mean, obviously the guy has got, a little more than $4,000 pocket change to an NHLer, more like quarters maybe. But yeah, I mean, I think it was funny. I donated all the money to, I think Children's Minnesota, which is like pediatric healthcare, up in the Minnesota area. So that's super cool to see. It's funny how curious as how that actually got wind of that. Like if someone just stalking Ryan Hartman's Venmo somehow had his Venmo, is like, oh, wait a second, this is so-and-so. Why is he paying? Oh shit, this is why. And then that's such a, I don't know. Who the fuck's looking at Ryan Hartman's Venmo transactions or Evander Kane's ex-wife's Venmo transactions that actually cares to I don't know, blast on the internet. Just a weird thing, but still
not
funny.
not to mention Ryan Hartman is like the most vanilla, generic white dude's name ever. It sounds like a doctor or a lawyer. Hi, I'm Ryan Hartman, attorney at law. So it's like you don't know which Ryan Hartman you're gonna get. I wonder if there's like some random Ryan Hartman somewhere in like Boise, Idaho that got a couple $100 Venmo to him or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, either way, love to see it. I think it's great. It's also great to add that considering Evander Kane just went through that divorce, in theory, Evander Kane helped pay also for this fine, aka donating to charity, which is also nice because she probably used his money when making that payment.
Yeah.
So love to see it. And even more so, love to see it because it involves a good thing such as charity and helping little kids. Moving right along, let's talk about something more current, and that is the fact that we very well could have our first playoff matchup announced, I guess, in a sense, or at least placed, and that is the St. Louis Blues versus the Minnesota Wild. Will be the first confirmed matchup of the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs if the Wild get at least 1 point tonight against the Canucks.
I feel like it already is though. No, because the Wild have 6 games that gives them 12 points, and then that put them one below Colorado, and they can't go below St. Louis, and Nashville can't jump up. I think it might already be confirmed for what it's worth.
Okay, well, either way, if that's not the case, if they just get 1 point out of this game, that's at least that's what I read on the internet, and the internet never lies.
I know you're rooting for a Canucks win tonight, right?
No, definitely. I'm not worried about the Canucks. Wow. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but I'm really not. Their path to making the playoffs is just a bit trickier than everybody else's. And last time I saw
tonight, they tie the Knights in points. What do you mean? Same games.
I'm not worried about it. I can't explain it. They have like a 3% according to the Money Puck, I believe is the website that announced that they have like 3% of making playoffs, and the Knights are still dancing around that like 20% mark, and the Kings are at 90, something like that. So I don't know. Yes, I would very much like the Minnesota Wild to win. I would like the Canucks to not get a point out of this, but as of right now, it's 3-3. Third period, 11:56 left. And you know what? Actually, this isn't in our notes, but I think this is going to be a great little leeway. I see everywhere on the internet, everyone's talking about how we need to be messing with our point system, and that the loser point is kind of coming into a scenario where it's just obnoxious. And these teams are sitting back, and they're not really playing with their all, knowing that they're going to get 1 point in overtime. So what would you think about that? I saw that, I think it was Bring Hockey Back posted like a poll saying, what would you do? Would you consider a 3-point system? Maybe 3 points for a victory, 2 if you get it done, in 3v3 overtime. And then if it happens to go to a shootout, that's just you would just get the 1, I guess. What would be your take on that?
No, it's pointless. It's more, it just becomes no, it becomes like, oh, I don't like this because the last 2 minutes of the game are boring as a hockey fan. But if you look at the statistics and I think someone did it like the last few years, if you overlaid like that same system on what happened the last few years, like the only thing that changed was same teams qualified, maybe 1 or 2 teams like switch spots. That's it. It's not going to change anything. People aren't going to drastically be better or drastically be worse. People are going to adapt to the system, like similarly to like 3-on-3 when it first came out. Everyone was like, how the fuck do we do this? And it's like, oh, cool. We just hold the puck for 2 minutes and tire the team out and get a scoring chance and try to win the game. Like that's basically all it is. It's just changing something to change something, but it doesn't do anything. Like I understand why people want it. I understand it's boring, but like it's not going to change. It's all going to even out at the end of the day. So.
Well, it would change the Golden Knights' perspective. That's for damn sure. They would be in a playoff spot if it was just win or lose. So, because they only have 5 overtime losses, and that's by far the least in the Pacific.
Yeah, and, but how many of those games have they gone to overtime? They've won though.
I don't know the stat, but it's insane, Tommy. I'm not even kidding you. I'm pretty sure that they've won like 8 of 10 the last overtimes they've gone. They just don't lose in overtime. So I don't know. As a Knights fan, I could see how somebody could get frustrated with that. My take is I believe that you should just win or lose. The loser point just seems silly to me. Like if it comes down to that point, like you should just, whoever wins wins. And if that means you still use the same structure as a 3v3 and then the shootout, so be it. I never really understood like taking away a point out of it. And now this year of all years is just kind of bored out the last couple of weeks. Like I swear every other game has gone to overtime, and not in an exciting fashion. Very rarely is it like on the edge of your seat, because these teams know that if they get that 1 point, it helps contribute towards the big playoff picture. But I also see what you're saying. Like, yeah, somebody brought up that it's really not going to change much. The teams that are supposed to get in are going to get in, and we shouldn't be adapting just to get more exciting hockey out of certain clubs. But I just thought it was an interesting take. I know a lot of people hate that rule. I know a lot of people don't like the shootout either. I've also seen the argument that people think that we shouldn't be able to ice the puck whenever you're killing a penalty, which is just absolutely crazy to think about, how the madness of that would be. I guess it wouldn't even change that much. You would just get used to soft dumps. You wouldn't send it the length of the ice, but you would just kind of like throw it closer to the blue line.
I mean, it's a little easier said than done. You know
right.
What I mean? But
I guess teams would adapt, like you said. Like you just kind of, they learned that if they hold back for 2 minutes and tire out the team, then they're going to win. And
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like that's part of strategy. Just like when a player goes behind the fucking net for 45 seconds while his team sets up, same exact concept. Like it's not going to go anywhere. Like if you want to change and solve the problem, like make it where, oh no, these two teams are just lollygagging for the last 2, 3, 5 minutes of the game. Sweet, now we get 10 minutes of 4-on-4 or something. Like make it more fun, where it's not just like, I don't know. I mean, 3-on-3 can be exciting, but the way it's been played out and strategized, it's kind of just boring. It's like, let's skate in circles for 2 minutes and try and get a scoring chance. And then if we miss, the other team sprints down and gets an odd man break and probably wins the game if we don't. Like it's just gotten to a point where I think 3-on-3 has played itself out. I think that's more important than fixing a point system, which I don't think needs to be fixed, in my opinion.
Hey now, what's up, goons? Tyler Cash here, and it's time to pause the podcast and chat a bit about our amazing sponsors over at Schlafly Brewing Company. Hockey and beer. Does it get any better? I don't think so. Schlafly has been brewing up some of the best beer I've ever had for many years, and it's officially that time of year for their famous Raspberry Hefeweizen. It's one of my personal favorites. Their Raspberry Hefeweizen distinguishes itself among others in that it's a true fruit beer. None of this fruit-flavored crap. It uses real raspberry in the brewing process. Once the fruit sugar ferments out, the aroma and flavor stay in, making this a delightful drinkable beer that's not too sweet or tart. It's refreshing and balanced with a natural hazy pink coloring. Because it's low in alcohol, it brings out a smooth dose of weediness, and it's perfect for summer. It's perfect for any time. Download the Schlafly app or visit schlafly.com to locate and devour yours today. That's SCHLAFLY.com. Schlafly Beer. Drink Mo Beer. This podcast is brought to you by 1 in a Million Handyman Services Incorporated. 1 in a Million is a family-run local company that's been serving the Las Vegas, Nevada area for over 15 years. They are licensed and insured throughout Clark County and travel as far as Boulder City, Henderson, Las Vegas, and North Las Vegas. 1 in a Million specializes in smaller home repairs, but also tackles commercial repairs. They've worked around the Strip, residential homes, commercial buildings, you name it, 1 in a Million has made their mark. With a 4.5-star Yelp review and countless of happy customers throughout the 15 years, you can guarantee you'll be happy with their services. All previous customers can refer an unlimited amount of friends and family for a $25 referral credit, which would come off of any future projects and or repairs if they decide to use 1 in a Million. This offer also extends to the Fourth Line Goon listeners. Mention this podcast and you will receive a $25 referral credit that will come off of the total cost of your repairs. 1 in a Million is open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and you can find them on the web at juaninamill.com. That's JUANINAMILL.com, or you can also find them at juan.inamill on Instagram. 1 in a Million Handyman Services won't let you down. Check them out.
All right, so then going back to the Minnesota Wild St. Louis Blues matchup, it seems like it's evident that they're going to be the teams that face each other in the first round. You're a Blues fan, right? So you want to say Blues, but I kind of think it's a bummer that these teams are facing each other in the first round. They're both great. They've been representing great hockey for a while now. I mean, I never thought I'd say this. Minnesota's actually looking exciting. What would be your take on that series? Do you think it'd be easy for one team, or do you think it's going to go the full distance in 7 games?
So the recency bias is in play here. However, stats are like, it's a joke. The last 14 games, the Blues are 12-1-1 against the Wild. They're 13-1-2 against the Wild under Berube. I mean, wow. I don't know what else needs to be said. Like, I think that's it. Like, I mean, that's it. I don't know what to say.
I mean, the Blues look great too, man. Like, not to stroke you off right here and now, like they do look good. I mean, it's crazy that Buchnevich trade is just looking like probably the best move Army has like ever done.
Next to Ryan O'Reilly, which granted, Tage Thompson's fucking finally turned it on, almost a 40-goal scorer, so it's working out for Buffalo in the long run. But yeah, I mean, either way, yeah, I mean, it's just looking at the matchup, it's just like, great act, regular season or whatever, but like, how do you just discount that? And then like the Blues just constantly, I feel like, berate the Wild, and it's just never a situation where it's like, oh no, we're playing the Minnesota Wild, what's gonna happen? Like, it's always just like, oh, okay, Wild again. Like the Blues are 3-0 against the Wild this year, granted 2 are in overtime. It's just like same old. We play them well. Games are close, but the Blues just always seem to have that edge to close it out or win for whatever reason.
So Blues and what are you saying? You're saying Blues in 4?
There's 5 games left in the season. I'm not making a prediction, injuries, etc. Let's not go there yet.
Okay. All right. So Wild in 3. I get it.
Okay.
No, I mean, the Wild can play a boring game, and we have seen teams that are playing with high intensity and energy get shut down by these teams that have great defense. And I mean, that is kind of the Wild in a nutshell. But personally, I like to see the Blues take it. I think they're probably going to win the conference. In my head, that's where I'm going with that.
I mean, it's the Avalanche. It's the question mark for them.
I just don't feel like the Avalanche are built for the postseason, and the fact that Landeskog has been out for as long as he has, McKinnon's dealt with his own injuries, Kadri as well. I don't know. And I mean, you can say the goaltending got better, but we still haven't seen a lot as far as that goes, whether or not under pressure, he could help them win a series. Going to be very interesting. I feel good personally if the Knights make it in, they could potentially be facing the Avs, and we saw what they were capable of doing to them last year with Stone kind of just shutting down the McKinnon line. That's just the trick, man. Like these teams that are top heavy, which is funny. You could say the same thing about the Golden Knights. If you take out their first line, they have nothing else to do. And you play boring hockey, shut down hockey, New York Islanders brand, if you will, you're going to win a series or two, and you may not go the whole way, but yeah, you never know. But going to be exciting. As you said, it looks like that's pretty much going to be the potential matchup there. The East is all clenched. The Capitals took that last wild card spot, and now we're just kind of waiting. Yeah. Now we're just kind of waiting on the West, which has just been wild to say the least, pun intended. And we're just waiting, man. It's gotten down to the wire, which means, there's 5 games left. It looks like Nashville, Dallas, Vegas, LA, and now Vancouver are all in the mix for these last spots, which is just kind of sweet because we're getting extra playoff hockey, but not so good for my liver and my heart. I'll say that much. I have faith, man. If they roll Thompson, I really do think that they got a good chance of at least winning the next 3 of 4, and then it's just going to come down to the tiebreaker. And
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's just interesting. It's just like, I mean, last game of the season, not this Friday, but the following last games of the season. Stars play the Ducks, and then the Blues play the Knights. So it's like, if that's tied in that sense, like all bets are off still. And the way that the Wild and Blues are playing, like neck and neck, odds are home ice is probably still on the line at that point, and then it's just like all bets are off. Knights aren't getting the rest of the Blues lineup. Like, yeah, Ducks are probably rolling over to improve draft position. There's a lot to consider there, but again, well, next week we'll see how nervous you are or aren't, or confident or not confident, or worried, or what ifs.
It's really going to come down to the Dallas Stars game, because if they win that, it's a 4-point situation. They'll take 2 away from Dallas and they'll have 2 for themselves.
Got to beat San Jose first.
Yeah. I mean, and we have an insane record against San Jose, especially at home. I think that it's like one of the longest streaks in the history of the NHL. If I remember correctly, it was something like 16 games that they've won.
We saw what happened with the Devils. It's all I'm saying.
Yeah, true. But, we got the right guy in that. So we'll see. Okay. Last regular season home game going to be this Sunday. I'll be there. Fan appreciation night. Very exciting. And they hit the road and they got to beat Dallas and they got to beat the Blues. So, and Chicago. It's always the shitty teams that make me nervous, honestly.
Yeah. I just sent you something I wanted to talk about too. Is the Coyote is their ASU stadium season ticket prices for their 5,100 seat capacity arena.
Yep.
Shit is crazy. Granted, worst seat in the house is basically a lower bowl ticket, is $110 on a half season plan, 89 if you get full season. So it's like, shit's expensive. Like, there's no cheap options, and like rightfully so. This is exactly what like Bettman said when he was like, oh, there's models where the Coyotes could actually maintain or increase revenue. This is exactly it. The team's playing in a much smaller arena. The team's playing in a much wealthier part of town where the majority of Coyotes fans really live. People are I really do think this barn's gonna be full every night. Like, it should be.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have to say that, but I think it's going to be a fun place to watch a game, and like it's a unique opportunity to like catch a hockey game in a small barn, which I don't know if after this, assuming this all happens, I don't know if this opportunity would ever present itself outside of like an exhibition game or something. Like, I don't think you'd ever have this kind of atmosphere. Like, collegiate style hockey arena for an NHL team is pretty damn cool in my opinion. Is it gimmicky? Is it short-sighted? Yeah, but I think it's neat. I think it's a cool idea. And I get wanting to keep the team in Phoenix. I get wanting to make all this shit happen, but I don't know.
I hate to see beer prices. That's for damn sure.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to try to go. I know you're not a far travel distance either. And seeing your favorite hockey team in front of 3,000 people is a lot different of an experience than seeing them in front of 20. And, it's really no different than a stadium band like Metallica or Green Day going on tour and doing like small rooms. It's kind of punk rock. Like, I think it's cool. It's not punk rock to charge people $120 a seat if you're a season ticket holder, but I mean, going to be exciting nonetheless. They had their backs up against the wall. I'm interested to see if this winds up becoming kind of like the Vegas flu scenario, because it is on a college campus. Are these boys going to like just roll into town and just start slaying chicks and like partying? It's like, you're right there. You're going to be sharing a rink with the Sun Devils, who are on most nights going to probably be drawing just as many kids, if not more. It's going to be a hype scenario, It'll
be fun. I mean, I don't think it'll be a Vegas flu situation in any way, shape, or form, but
you don't think Crosby's going to be hitting up some frat boy parties and reliving his glory days?
Probably not. Probably not. But
no, it's exciting. It's cool though. I mean, it's going to keep them in the desert for what, another 3 years? They had to sign that 3-year lease, and they're not moving anytime soon. Batman's been putting that to rest.
Apparently, in the offseason, there's still a vote with like the board for Tempe or whatever that has to approve this. If they don't sign off on it, they don't have anywhere to play. If that were to happen, they're probably gone. They're probably moving somewhere. Wow. They won't have a choice, I feel like. But I mean, you go to Tucson, that's where their AHL team is. They have like an 8,000 seat arena, but attendance going to be abysmal there. So I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen. There'll be a shit show for the league, but
aren't they doing like a preseason game in Kansas City? The Blues are like against somebody.
They have like every year. Yeah.
Okay. You don't think that they're kind of testing the waters to see what kind of attendance that they can get out in Kansas? Okay.
They have for sure. Yeah. 100%. I mean, Kansas City's always been on the radar. Obviously Houston, Everyone wants to cry about Quebec
Quebec.
City, but like Canadian dollar sucks. Sorry, Canadians, it's not happening. Bettman won't want it. So it is what it is. They're saying if they relocate, they stay in the US, probably Houston. Second up is Kansas City. After that, all bets are off, in my opinion. So
all right, let's go to questions. But before we do that, we want to thank you guys so much for checking out another episode. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. We just hit the 200 mark. Very awesome. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that great stuff. Well, we have personal Instagram, so never mind that. But yeah, no, just check them out and, make sure you subscribe and go back and watch all those interviews that we did. We have some great ones with Nate Schmidt, Mike McKenna. We had Cam Jansen on, who was absolutely sauced. I think that the people kind of underrated that one a little bit.
yeah,
So go back and visit that episode as well, because that was great. I remember he was like picking up his cat, showing us his cat, and he was hyped. It was a great interview. So go back and check that out as well. As like one of the most recent episodes. But yeah, let's get into questions. And the first one is from Twitter. It's from a Tim Ward, aka at that guy 448. Solid name. He wants to know who our MVP is for the season. I'm assuming he's talking like league wide. Like, who do we think is the most important player to their team league wide?
You can kick it off if you want. I gotta think about this one for a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the cop out, and I'm gonna say Matthews. I mean, the dude's had an unreal year, and yeah, he does have Marner on his line, and he does have guys
games down the stretch. Might not get 60 goals.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's had a hell of a year. He's so exciting to watch. You take Matthews away from the Leafs, and are they really a true contender? I don't see so. I don't see that being an option. I mean, yeah, they have Nylander, they have Marner, like they do have help from some of these guys in the on the lower part of their roster. But I mean, for the most part, you can't deny that Austin Matthews is the most electric and the best hockey player in the league this season. And so that's my pick.
Jonathan Huberdeau.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Dude's so fucking underrated because he plays in Florida. It's the only reason. Dude has fucking like 83 assists, 30 goal season. He's tied Connor McDavid for the points league, which is insane. Granted, the Panthers offense is insane also, but like it's just nuts. Like you look at it like where McDavid and Draisaitl, 113 points, 106 points. Then you have Huberdeau, 113 points, tied for first in the league. And you have to go all the way down to 17th with Barkov, who was 86. Granted, he's missed like 5 or 6 games, but it's just like, dude, arguably going to have the best record in the league. You're completely carrying your team on offense. That like I don't know a different pick. And I mean, the problem is he plays in Florida, so he's probably not going to win anything unless he ends up getting the points title. But outside of that, like he would just go completely, sight unseen. No one would really care. They bring it up during their playoff run, but like they get ousted in the first or second round. No one's going to remember. No one's going to hype it up anymore. It's kind of a sad thing, in my opinion.
30 goals, 81 assists for 111 points in 76 games, all while carrying a plus 39. That's just this season. The dude's
they won.
monstrous.
They won tonight, so he added 2 more assists. So
it's just insane.
Yeah.
And I gotta admit, he was off my radar for the longest time. But if you go back,
dude's nuts.
Yeah, 61 points, 78 points, 92, 69. Nice.
And you gotta think like all these games too that he's playing, like 2018, 2019 and beyond, like Florida stunk.
Right.
And now that he has like good supporting players around him on his lines, like he's blowing up, and rightfully so. The guy's only 28. He's fucking money.
Agreed. So we have one more question. It's from the Sports Advocate on Twitter. They want to know who are the untouchable players on the team when it comes to freeing up cap space for the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm going to give a maybe an unpopular opinion on this, because obviously the untouchable players are the guys that have full no movements. So Mark Stone, Alex Pietrangelo, these are guys that you're not, Jack Eichel, who actually doesn't have a full new movement. They could flip him if they wanted to, and probably get more than what they paid for him. They're not going to, because he's having an unreal year. And, You know what? I'm also going to call out people that are fucking talking shit on Jack Eichel on the internet. Like he's doing a horrible thing by being on any team he's on. Let's just get real here. Buffalo's been a horrible team for a very long time. And yeah, they're starting to turn the tide. Some of these guys like Alex Tuck, Tage Thompson are starting to come around, but you've had Craig Anderson in net for like the past 49 years. The dude's like 103 years old and nice guy, but with goaltending like that, you're not going to be ever a contender. And, you know, I don't know. It's not the fact that the dude's a locker room cancer. I hate that term, but that's not how it works. He's just a talented player on an unhappy, on an unsuccessful team. He's doing great this year. So obviously he's untouchable. But aside from those guys, right, the obvious ones because of either no movements or because they're just superstars, I think that the misfits, I think Jonathan Marchessault and William Karlsson and Riley Smith, I think they're untouchable. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. And here's why. I think that the organization saw the outpour, the outcry of negativity that came with letting the face of the franchise go with Fleury. Then they had to let Reeves go, who was arguably the second fan favorite. Alex Tuck was a huge fan favorite. You let these guys go for business reasons, right? And they have a lot of marketing. They have a lot of fans that get behind the misfit line. You know, they call them the Golden Misfits that first year. I think they're going to keep them together for solidarity, if nothing else. I think that each dude is making a fair dollar amount on their contract. I mean, it's pretty much only about $15 million for that line. It's not bad even for a third line. I say the misfits stay put. I know people are quick to grab the pitchforks for William Karlsson because he's not netting 43 goals anymore, but you know, you can't argue that kind of value for those three guys. I think that they're safe.
Untouchable?
Yep.
The ultimate untouchable. Evgeny Dadonov. What do you mean?
Oh boy. Yeah.
He has a 10. He has a 10. Yeah. I mean,
we know that
he's been electric since then. I mean, good on him. But I mean, when you look at it like objectively, anyone who doesn't have a no movement clause, like the only one that I mean, I think for the right price, you could move Karlsson. I know you don't want to. I mean, even more so, I think the big one is Pacioretty. He's only got a 10-team no trade clause as well. What you get for him is a different story, especially being only 1 year and going on to his 34 years old at that point. But my hot take is I don't know if they'll re-sign Riley Smith. He's got a knee injury, long-term IR. I don't know if that's what they end up doing. They might end up cutting him loose as much as you don't want him to. I think that's a very real possibility for the Knights.
I mean, I'm excited to see evolution of this team. I really am. I think it's exciting to watch somebody be this aggressive and buy players. And I don't know. So as much as I wouldn't want to see them break up the misfits, I just don't think that they would, just because they kind of want to have some level of stability so people can go, oh yeah, we still got that, still have that glimmer of hope from that first season. But yeah, I don't know. Going to be an interesting offseason. They got to shed $9 million. So who knows how that's going to go, especially with this whole goaltending situation being a big question mark. So yeah, thank you guys so much for chiming in. And tuning in and continuing to do so. Make sure you guys support our amazing sponsors at Schlafly Brewing Company. They're amazing. They're based out of St. Louis, but if you go to their website, you go to their app, you can find out how to order it. You can find out at your local liquor store where you can pick some up. It's amazing. They have a Hefeweizen that's incredible. They have basically everything. They're a great beginners company to craft beer, so make sure you check them out, as well as 1 in a Million Handyman Company. Check them out as well if you're in the local Summerlin, Las Vegas, Paradise, Nevada area. Anything you wanted to add here towards the end?
2 things. Let's go Blues. And I should have taken you up on that bet for Austin Matthews not scoring 60, because I'm pretty sure he's going to fucking rest him till the playoffs. They don't want to choke a first round and risk it Matthews injury further. So
I think that's scary though, to let a guy sit that long.
Yeah, he's going to go cold like he always has, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see if they're going to have it. They don't have it right now, which I just checked in. They were losing 5-0 last time to Tampa.
You'd like to know the Canucks lost as well. So
yes, that's great. That's great. Awesome. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I would cheers you, but I have absolutely nothing. And we'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Everyone.